My name is Sergio Muñoz Gomez. I'm president of an association. The name is Building Smart Spanish Chapter. I'm a telecommunication engineer. I have been working in the field of interoperability within construction sector, building sector, using tools and making that each tool could be compatible, being able to retrieve information, collect data, not to lose any data. And I'm going to present here the vision we have, our approach within what we do within our building information modeling, BIM methodology, what we can do as a BIM management expert. I'm not going to define what BIM management means, a BIM manager, BIM leader, BIM coordinator, BIM project, whatever. That doesn't matter. The important thing is what we're going to do within building information modeling methodology, within the facility management world. And what about Building Smart? Building Smart is a non-profitable organization, that started 20 years ago internationally, and we have representatives at different countries. We have different chapters. This is what we say. I represent Spanish chapter, and the objective, well, we're focused on enhancing interoperability and cooperation among different agents within building sector using BIM methodology, which is based on open standards. So we're going to talk about open standard BIM methodology. We want people to understand each other. It is open BIM that we're going to elaborate on now. How about open BIM? What does it mean? And well, Jose Luis loved toys and Legos, and we're going to explain what the differences are. Open BIM and the closed BIM. So, open standard BIM. We have the possibility of using tools from different suppliers, different tools according to the different stages of a project, according to different domains, design, structures, facilities, operation costs, whatever. Using different tools that will be able to communicate one with another without having a single supplier. We have different providers, and all the tools will communicate among themselves. I will present a video, and you will understand what does BIM methodology does mean. Let's start now. Video
BIM
on.
does for you. Why the AEC industry needs to change. The building industry has experienced negative growth in productivity in the last decades. The building industry is divided into many specialized disciplines. In order to design, construct, and operate a building, all disciplines have to work efficiently together with the same information. In conventional processes, information is exchanged on paper. This makes room for many different interpretations, mistakes, and errors. In all conventional projects, expensive errors are made due to lack of coordinated information. Often, time schedule and budget are exceeded. How does it change? By sharing all information between all actors in one open format, everyone can work efficiently without errors. A building information model, or BIM, is a digital representation of the real building. Each object in the real building is represented by equivalent digital objects in the BIM. All building information is shared by one open format called IFC and a standardized terminology called data dictionary. All project actors can access relevant information when they need it so that everyone can work efficiently together. How do we want to work? Let us give you an example on how we want to work with the building information models.
We want the school!
The client document their requirements in a database that follows the project the entire life cycle. The design team designs the building according to the client's requirements. The building is modeled by numerous digital objects. One of the objects is a door. The door is chosen from an object library in the design software. The design software automatically adds information about the position of the door. The consultants add information and requirements for dimensions, material, color, fittings and surface, thermal transmittance value. The architect positions the BIM in a digital map to enable the contractor to know exactly where to build the school. The project team uses the BIM to coordinate the disciplines and to analyze project cost, analyze life cycle costs, analyze energy performance and other environmental impact factors for environmental certification. The BIM is sent to the local building authorities to get a building permit. The authority's BIM server automatically checks the building and approves the project. The contractor uses the BIM to plan construction, to communicate with building product vendors to get quotes and environmental information on all the building components, including the door, make their own cost estimation. The contractor accepts the best offer from the product vendors. Automatically, all product information is added to the BIM, while the real door is transported to the building site.
Hooray!
The property caretaker identifies the door with his handheld device and registers the damage. All the door information is available at hand, and he can order new parts on site. The glazier repairs the door. The event and all information about the new parts are registered in the BIM. Building Smart is the solution. Building Smart's IFC format exchanges geometry and object information. IFC exchanges the building model.
Bueno, yo creo que nos hacemos.
I think that's enough. I think that we have enough information on that. And I think I'm glad Panos is here, because Panos will say, well, digital data has been there for years, for decades, in car industry, in airplane construction, because the theory we know the theory. We've known this since the very beginning, and it's been there for 20 years. But we all know that, and this is true, that on top of other barriers, on top of very many cultural barriers in construction sector, there are lots of cultural barriers, many more than in other sectors. There are technological barriers that were there that are not there anymore. The technology tools nowadays allow things that they wouldn't allow 20 years ago, like exchanging information. When we talk about data models in the case of a facility, a building, and there are lots of information. We're talking about a lot of bytes, gigabytes. So imagine how to open this. Before that was impossible. Now it's feasible. Now we don't have those physical barriers, so to speak, to gathering, collecting information and processing information. How about the scenario we have? I'd like to present this in our real context. We say that years ago, for instance, years ago when we started, we used to work with local environment, local rules, because our domain, the domain of action, the domain where we had been operated, we knew the rules to play with, but now to play by those rules, now we know that things have changed, there are other rules somewhere else, and if I am not updating my information, then I'm out of the game. So how about the rules of the game? Where are we? Regarding BIM, regarding building information modeling, this methodology, the sine qua non conditions are that the projects require, well, of course, you have to construct this, but I want, on top of this, I want to have a virtual model of your building, because with a virtual model of your building, I'm going to construct in a better way. With a digital representation of the physical and functional characteristics of the facility, I'm going to give maintenance to the facility. On top of the new requirements, we have professional requirements that are new. We have new goals. It is not only the concept of the architect, the concept of the engineer, the concept of whatever a technical expert or the one that makes calculations of structures. No, it requires generating, managing. We have here BIM Manager, BIM Model, BIM Surveyor, and of course it is very important to know this. In 2014, the European Union published a directive on public contracts, and this directive, and I'm mentioning here only 2 articles, only 2 of those that are relevant, and one Article 22 says that for contracts, public contracts, here, public works, we need for the project the use of electronic tools. BIM methodology is an example. Article 67 for the criteria in order to pass a contract regarding a project. It is not only the cost that's been taken into consideration, but the cost of the life cycle of the project, managing facilities. So we know that we have to have a numeric approach, digital data of the project, because we need communication among agents, but we also need a priori to assess costs, to assess the energy of the whole life cycle. Now it is useless if, for instance, I could construct in a short while a building with a small budget. If along 50 years I'm going to pay the price, I'm going to suffer the low level of the project. And for that, I would say that we have BIM. This is why we have BIM methodology. This is a very important subject. In Europe, the existence of the national BIM strategies. Let's say that in Spain we have now a draft that is going to translate this directive onto our legal framework. It is not that it takes years. Now that was issued in February 2014, and 3 months ago we had a draft, a project here in Spain, a legal translation on the project, on the BIM strategy. And now we have the national strategies worldwide, and in Europe since 2007, different countries in Europe and other European countries started with the BIM strategies. Then there was a period of standby, latent period, then UK 2011, Low Countries 212, Swiss 214, France, Germany 214, and Germany and Spain in 2015. Countries from national levels, governments from different countries are stating that digitalization will mean improvement of outcome, reducing costs, improving the quality, reducing contamination, pollution, emissions. And one of the strategies, well, as we see, strategies go beyond that. Now we have to present a project using BIM, using a model, building information model. In the UK from 2016, all projects will require BIM approaches. In France, 2017. In Spain, they talk about 2018. Why is it so? In the UK, the situation is quite clear. They had established some pilot projects, and they say that with the money they will, use to construct 5 schools at that time. And we're not talking only about constructing, but the life cycle of a school. Now they can construct 7 schools instead of 5. 7 facilities at the price of 5. So now they will reduce costs, and they can give better services offered to citizens. In Spain, we have 3 months ago, the ministry established a task force for presenting BIM in our building sector, construction sector in Spain. As it happens in other countries, we see the milestones, we see the approach that if it is not compulsory, then the sector won't take it seriously. So you have to make it happen. And this is why in 2018, in whatever call for tender, projects should be expressed according to BIM methodology. There are differences regarding infrastructures. There is time in the case of infrastructures because the technology required ought to grow and get developed at our pace. But of course, that's something ongoing. That's something that will happen. And here, once we've set this context and where are we going towards, we see here the process of numerical digital construction, the different steps and where we are now. We see we had started from the definition of the conditions, what the requirements are. Then we compile all data. For instance, in the case of something existing, we have a 3D scanner, we have retrieved information that's necessary, we have a modeling of the information, and then the execution of the project. And then we talk about the integration with FM solutions, facility management solutions. But that is not the end. We have to update the model. If we talk about a model that is going to last for 50 years, of course, the use of the infrastructure might change, will evolve. Day one won't be the same as what will happen at year 5. Equipment will be different, things will be different. It will be necessary to update everything, to update the information. And that is why we have a BIM. And the sooner the better when you have to change whatsoever. You know that. There is a benefit there. We have BIM for the design. Then we tell, okay, do this, do that, replace this. And well, then at the beginning, costs are not so high. Once we know that, and when we are implementing things to put a pillar somewhere else, well, costs a lot of money. But if we're talking about operation of the building, we're talking about 60 times more. So what will cost 1 at the design phase will cost 60 when everything is in use. And what do we understand as cooperative work? Working together, co-work, and we're talking about cooperation. We talk about working together. Usually we used to work, a designer, then presented to this, then we had architects, we had contractors, we had the owners working, but that is not real cooperation. We have at the same time to work. Each one will have a word to say. Architects, owners, contractors, analyzing a same model, same information, and each one will give the best possible contribution. There are cultural barriers. Sharing information, for instance, sharing information with people next door, even though we're working together, it's difficult. It's not so easy to share what we know. But of course, it is a synergy. It is more than adding up things, different agents working together. But if we work really, if we cooperate, if we have co-working activities, results will be better. And then we have the BIM Manager. BIM Manager, as I said before, give it a name, whatever you want to call it. It doesn't matter. But it is a person that's going to be there at all the steps of the project, implementation of the project, and controlling the interests and making sure that all parts are taken into consideration. The architect would like to do it the sooner the better. Then we would like to construct as soon as possible. There are clients with different interests who have the operation of the building, and then we need to take into consideration all of the interests, not to have surprises when we move up from one step to another. BIM Manager. BIM Manager, it is not the user of BIM tools. It is the administrator of the information, is the one that is going beyond that. And then the process control. The BIM Manager ought to control all the process, the model, the design, the construction of or implementation. So from the design, you have the design, you have the building, and then you have the maintenance after that. So as designed, as built, as managed, the information contained should be useful and should be enough for the conditions required by all the entities implied. And then the work, the tasks, in the case of a BIM manager and facility management. How about BIM managers and facility management? Well, we'll take better decisions and sooner. So we'll do it as soon as possible and in the best possible way. We have the possibility of foreseeing, to predict what's going to happen. We'll have the information. Based on the information, I have more or less a forecast, an estimate. I can say, well, this is more or less what I'll have to pay. I can reduce risks. I can have effectiveness and efficacy in our maintenance, have better buildings, better infrastructures, better facilities. Why is it so important? That we know, because the cost for building whatsoever, it is only only 25% compared to facility management, because we're talking about a lifelong process, the structure of the life cycle of the building. And then for the client is only concerned at the beginning by paying less in order to build that facility. But the owner should understand that the beginning is not the important part. It is what happens afterwards. It is maintenance. It is what is left. And here, those are the data. You can keep in touch with me. I'll be delighted. And whatever statement, please get in touch with me. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you very much for your kind attention.